Our next to last speaker is Tom Rose, a friend and a man I admire greatly. He's a top advisor to Vice President Pence, who, as many of you know, has been a leading voice on Asian policy for this administration. In each of the 2 years of the Trump administration, I have been present when Tom has given stunning remarks in Tokyo about American foreign policy. He's also a hero to many over the course of his career on human rights issues. Tom?
Thank you. Let me turn my clock on here so I don't hit the 6 minutes. Thank you very much, Scooter, and everyone here. Listening to the stories of the abductees and, of course, our beloved Cindy and Fred, one can't help but think that this world can be a rotten place with rotten people and rotten regimes. But in listening to the passion and the commitment and the continued resolve of those free citizens whose abductees have been gone, whose loved ones have been murdered, it's a reminder, a powerful one, of the beauty in this world, the power of freedom, and the sanctity and inviolability of every single human life. Nothing about North Korea should be forgotten, especially in light of negotiations and diplomacy that this administration is attempting to successfully conduct with the DPRK. Since its founding, the totalitarian leadership of the DPRK has exacted unparalleled privation and cruelty upon its subjects, torture, forced mass starvation, execution, murder, forced abortion, and a systemic system of slave labor and innovative perfections of totalitarian control that have been best highlighted by Dr. Eberstadt, who sits here, have been the means by which this regime has retained and consolidated its hold on power. Now, Cindy said diplomacy with the DPRK is a charade. Well, if human rights isn't part of that diplomacy, Cindy is absolutely right. Because no peace can ever come with a regime who treats its citizens in a manner that is simply beyond comprehension of anyone living in the West. Public executions, mass forced starvation. The president's been emphatic and direct with Chairman Kim on the 2 occasions when they've met. I would simply ask of the abductees and of Cindy and Fred something very direct, and that is to never, ever let us forget your stories, to always stay in the spotlight, to never refrain from going on television or addressing conferences like this, to never refrain from voicing criticisms or objections when they feel merited. Listening to these stories today, the Japanese abductees, and of course Fred and Cindy, I was reminded of something I heard a while ago about the difference between the words history and memory. History in English broken out into 2 words, his story. Memory begins with 2 letters, me, myself. I would simply ask of all the abductee families and all those who've suffered at the hands of this brutal regime, never to let your stories become history, but to always insist that they remain our memory, imprinted on our hearts and in our minds, so that their story can become and remain our own. There'll never be peace until these issues are resolved. President Trump is committed to that. Vice President Pence is committed to that. And I know all of you are. So, again, never let us off the hook. Keep the pressure on, not just the North Korean regime, but keep the pressure on us, keep the pressure on the Congress, on the administration, and all of us to ensure that we stay on the right and true path. Thank you very much.